Hello! Before we get into the video, I wanted to address something. I spend a lot of my time calling people f***ing stupid, calling people dumb. And I get a lot of comments saying, Dima, you call people dumb? How could you call people dumb? What, you think you're super smart? No, I don't. I legitimately do not think so. I don't think I am like above anyone, or when I call people dumb, I'm somehow not people. You know what I mean? No, I know I'm people. I know I'm f***ing dumb. So the start of this video is me being dumb. I forgot to hit record on my OBS. I started it on my Audacity, so I have the audio, but there is no video to the first long chunk of this video. I don't exactly know because I haven't started editing it yet, but the first significant chunk of this video is just going to be audio from me. And I'll do my best to edit it in a way that it won't be too jarring. Like I said, I just finished recording the actual video moments ago. Now I'm recording this intro. So please excuse that and understand that I know I'm a dumbass. The Male Loser Epidemic by Shoe on Head. So I wasn't going to watch this video, but I got a request to watch it, so here we are. The Male Loneliness Epidemic Part 500. I've already got a few videos on this topic. I don't remember exactly what I said in those videos. So let's talk about it again, fresh. I mean, I'm guessing that's what this is about, right? So let's first define what this phenomenon is. Younger men, so like teens to middle age, are having trouble making and keeping friends. They're having trouble with women, and just generally have few meaningful connections in their lives. So why is this happening? One of the default answers that you'll hear, and there is some truth to this, is that the old ways in which men would make those connections have crumbled. Long-term jobs, community interactions. I would argue that there are other social elements as well. Like, how do I put this non-wokely? The woke term would be, toxic masculinity. If I were to try to say that unwokely, I'd say some traditional socialized behaviors men exhibit are not conducive to forming these types of meaningful relationships with male friends and with women. Honestly, that was probably more woke than if I just said toxic masculinity, but whatever. I would argue that a lot of these men aren't just passively isolated. They're actively marinating in spaces where misogyny, anti-intellectualism, and just everything's gay attitudes are normalized. I think those environments cultivate people who will find it harder to build genuine friendships or maintain healthy relationships with women. I think the rise of what I would call unhealthy male role models like Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate reward some of what can be argued are negative male behaviors. Like shit like this gets hundreds of thousands of likes on Twitter every single day. Paul, relationship expert. Wife barely looks at you anymore, let alone wants to have sex? There's a solution to that, and it's one you won't get from your therapist. Get her to fuck you again. A red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom. And then a photo of just the most divorced man ever. They probably put, give me the most divorced man ever into Grok and had it generate an image, and this is what it spat out. And it's just like a nose ring. There are a lot of unhealthy things going on in men's spaces right now. I say this as a man who hangs out in men's spaces. Gaming, Twitch, YouTube, sports, misogyny isn't a rare thing in those spaces, frankly. And men aren't really good to one another in those spaces either. Being just assholes and jerks to one another, being distant from one another, these aren't rare things either. Lack of empathy, anti-intellectualism, pseudo-intellectualism. I'm thinking people like Jordan Peterson. These are things that are heavily on the rise in male spaces. Per my own personal observations, like I said, I'm in these spaces. I am fucking on the ground daily. I'm seeing this shit daily. So I think a part of this male loneliness epidemic is just that a lot of men's behaviors today just isn't conducive to building great relationships between themselves and with women. So what is it? Is it just like men are just shittier now? Were men better in the 80s and before when they'd have more friends? I mean, I don't think the answer to that is yes. This is where I think other factors, come into play, certainly. I mean, for one, women's futures don't necessarily rely on finding a husband anymore. That's allowed them to be pickier. They can wait longer to settle down with partners. One thing we can't really ignore is that women tend to be more liberal these days. Men tend to be more conservative, with this gap widening each and every day. So most of these politically active women are not going to want anything to do with men who are conservatives and are actively voting for, people who are stripping away women's rights to things like abortion access. And, nor do they want to be with apolitical men who don't know or care about these issues too. Now, as always, I need to throw out like a trillion caveats here. I am certainly not talking about every woman. I'm talking about incredibly broad tendencies, no pun intended. Plenty of liberal women date conservative men. It happens, I know. You don't need to leave me a comment saying your aunt is a liberal who is dating a conservative. I'm talking about broad tendencies. And with male friendships, again, it's not really just one thing that's going on here. I do think men who watch people like Sneeko or Andrew Tate just aren't learning good skills on how to be good people, how to build healthy relationships with people, whether it's with other men or with women. I'll never forget this Sneeko clip.
Andrew Tate! Fuck the woman! Fuck the woman!
What? No, wait.
Sneeko.
We love women. We love women. We love women.
But not like transgenders.
Yes, sir. We love everybody.
No.
No.
All gays should die.
Yeah, merch. Preach. What have I done?
Can I get in the video? Fucking talk.
Can I get in the video? Yeah. Talk to him. Yo, what's up? Yeah.
First kids are like, fuck the women. And then transgenders, and then I don't even want to say what these other kids are saying, man. It's fucked up. What kids and young men are hearing these days, man. People like Sneeko, these kids are, I hate to put it so bluntly, but in a lot of ways are just not becoming good people by watching people like Sneeko. My kid cousin, he's in his teens, God bless him, I love him. He watches Sneeko and Andrew Tate and that ilk, and I see it rubbing off on him. Like, he's not a monster, I get it. I know these folk aren't ontologically evil, but the people influencing him and other kids and young men like him are just not teaching them good things or how to be good people. This ecosystem that many young men are a part of, just, some people will argue that it's a reflection of alienation, and I think that is true in some ways, but I also think it actively creates more of it by teaching men, frankly, that, vulnerability is weakness, and that women are fucking enemies and adversaries.
Andrew Tate!
I didn't even catch that. First thing bro says is Andrew Tate.
Fuck the woman!
What?
This 10-year-old is saying fuck the women. This is not good, guys. This was 2 years ago. This kid is 3 years away from incel posting going, why aren't women dating me? Seriously. To many of these men, vulnerability is gay. Empathy is gay. These are things that can help build and maintain relationships. Many men are actively resisting those feelings, those actions. I think you could also factor in the political angle here as well. We are more polarized politically than ever before. Many conservative men don't want to be friends with liberal men. Many liberal men don't want to be friends with conservative men. And I know, again, trillion caveats. I know you have a liberal in your Discord group that you're cool with. I get it. Again, broad tendencies. Don't get lost here, folks. These things breed isolation, which makes it easier to fall further into reactionary echo chambers, which further create the conditions that breed more isolation, that make someone harder to get close to build meaningful relationships with. Even for one reactionary male to another. I say this as someone who's experienced that. I'm thinking back when I was in high school, right? 50 years ago when I was in high school. 12 to 15 years ago, things were quite different, but in a lot of ways, that traditional masculine behavior of just not getting close with one another, not being vulnerable to one another, that was 100% there with my male friendships at that time. And none of us are gay. All of us, I'm thinking of that friend group, or have been in relationships with women. One, being gay is not a bad thing, but two, us being vulnerable with each other and just being closer to one another just wouldn't be gay. We're all like straight. We're in relationships with women. We're all having kids. Like, it's frustrating because, again, I'm saying all of this having been on the ground as a kid who acted this way, around kids who acted that way. Now I'm seeing it among, my family, like I said, my cousin, obviously seeing it in spaces that I hang out in, gaming spaces, Twitch, YouTube, etc., sports, like I said. Men are becoming more reactionary. I do think this is a big part of it. Again, to say like the male loneliness thing, whatever, is one thing. It's just not. It's a lot of things adding up. It's something different for each individual male. And like I said, it's a pie with a million slices. Some slices are bigger, some are smaller, but they all add up to this epidemic that we're seeing today. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the economic aspect. I think ultimately, like with everything, if you zoom out far enough, you start to see neoliberalism creep in. It's like the cosmic microwave background. You look out far enough, and there it is, all around us, neoliberalism. The reality is, working class life sucks more than it did pre-Reagan, pre-unfettered neoliberalism. So yeah, there is a big economic factor. There's also the factor that men just genuinely seem to be worse at building stronger social connections than women. We all know that women tend to maintain stronger social networks while men have historically relied on their romantic partners to be their primary emotional outlet. So when women are able to be pickier, they're kind of left with, nothing. I feel like I'm rambling, but like, again, I can't personally ignore that. I think there is, the reality that there is this weird fucking masculine identity crisis where, in a lot of ways, traditional masculinity has sort of run its course. It's outdated, but there's no clear replacement. Like, we men are stuck between don't be toxic and still be manly somehow. You know what I mean? I can barely put into words what I'm trying to say. And we just don't have good guidance on what healthy masculinity could look like. Of course, dating apps and social media have probably made, just like dating harder for the average man, will make it easier for women to be selective. That can create a feedback loop of sorts. But either way, the end result is that women are dealing with a dating pool and men are dealing with a friendship pool fucking chock full of guys who think Andrew Tate has good points and that Sneako's a good person and that going to therapy makes you gay and shit. And if you're one of those guys who likes Andrew Tate or Sneako or Jordan Peterson, then I'm sorry. In my opinion, I think you are unfortunately a victim of this problem. You're a part of the problem, but you're also a victim of just things being shitty. I think you're a victim of worsening socioeconomic conditions and rapid technological transformations that our species was just not built to withstand. Now, I do think it is reductive to be like, when the world is out to get men today. That's what a lot of these, male influencers sort of stand rhetorically. No, I think a big part of it is men are being shaped by shitty spaces and are actively becoming people that many others don't want to interact with. Like, a lot of these guys are not somebody I'd want to be friends with. Again, that metric is meaningless. I'm just speaking for me, but honestly, not someone I think women should be romantically engaged with either. Like, if you're the type of guy to like this post or like what these kids are saying or what Sneako says, yeah, women should probably avoid you. So about this video, a part of me thinks a lot of what Shoe on Head, based on the videos I've seen from Shoe on Head, I think, some of this is going to be anti-woke. We just know it's going to be. She's proven that that is her angle on a lot of this. I would be very surprised if we don't see a fair amount of just anti-woke stuff from her. But I do think we are going to see a lot of socioeconomic critique as well. That this male loneliness epidemic, the male loser epidemic, I'm assuming is not a completely distinct thing, because that would make my entire intro here, which I've been recording for like 100 minutes already, completely pointless. I expect her to tie it to worsening socioeconomic conditions as well. She calls herself a leftist. I think this is what, and I doubt she'd use this term, but I think this is what leftists would call materialism. And I could be wrong. Leftists, correct me. The idea that socioeconomic conditions are the, major or primary drivers of social and political phenomena. Men aren't necessarily becoming radicalized or shittier because they're, inherently morally deficient or ontologically evil, but because our economic system isn't working, it isn't delivering. And I do think personally that making the world better makes people better. Fixing our socioeconomic conditions in the sense that it's possible to afford a house, have a good job, start a family, have economic security. Things that many people today just can't access will result in better people overall. Not perfect people. That'll never happen. But better people. Better jobs, better pay, better infrastructure, workplace democracy, better education. These things make better people. And again, this is where we could zoom out and find that, well, if that's true, then yeah, neoliberalism is the problem, or a big fucking part of the problem, because that's what's made life kind of worse for everyone. Certainly not just working age men in the West. Okay, let's check this video out. The male loser epidemic. All right, let's do it.
And sorry I've been gone for quite a bit. Hopefully nothing too crazy happened. I feel like every time I take a break, like a war breaks out or something, but thankfully that did not happen. But at least we found out the real Epstein files were the friends we made along the way. Welcome back to the She One Head channel. If it is your first time here, run. I am She One Head, and on this channel I like to cover cultural issues mostly surrounding men's issues. It's what I've been doing for over a decade, and frankly, I'm exhausted. Many of you have been along for the ride, and you have seen me go from a chipper, lively 24-year-old making fun of BuzzFeed and Tumblr feminists to a bitter, calloused 34-year-old talking about very real and growing men's issues. One of the main men's issues I have been covering in great detail lately has been the male loneliness epidemic. Yeah, but turns out I was wrong. We don't have a male loneliness epidemic. We have a male loser epidemic. It's not a male loneliness epidemic. No, it's a male mediocrity epidemic. It's a male loser epidemic.
The male loser epidemic has gotten so bad that it's honestly so pathetic at this point.
Now, I don't always talk about men's issues. No, sometimes I talk about politics, and sometimes I mix the two together. Now, I know a lot of you don't like politics, you don't care about politics, but politics cares about you, and it will enter your life no matter how hard you try to avoid it. But thankfully, I have the perfect app to help you navigate this difficult—
I'm sorry, Shu, okay? You want my ad money? Tell me what's your average ad money per view, and I will send you a check. I swear to God, I will do this, Shu. I'll gladly send you, I'll Venmo you. For real. Hit me up. I will Venmo you what I owe you. I don't mind. All right, back to it.
With all these issues men are facing, they seem to be moving to the right and the Republicans more, since the left and Democrats have essentially just become the young men eat and die movement. Months ago, I covered how the Democratic Party was losing young men, and I predicted Kamala Harris would lose in part because of young men overwhelmingly voting for Trump, and I was correct. Well, now the Democrats have unveiled their final solution to the right-wing male loser epidemic. Democrats spending millions to learn how to speak to American men and win back the working class. Democrats have blown millions of dollars on efforts to appeal to American men who turned to President Donald Trump in droves on Election Day in hopes of winning back the working class. Democrats have spent $20 million on their efforts, with donors and strategists holing up in luxury hotel rooms, brainstorming how to convince working class men to return to the party.
Can I get one of those millions of dollars? Just one. Okay? I will probably give them better critique than they're getting from their shitty focus groups. Just give me 1 millions, okay? Just 1 millions, Dems, please. You're just blowing it all away anyway. Oh my God, dude. It's like, I mean, I said this in my last video, right? Like, brainstorming how to convince working class men to return to the party. It's like, guys. Well, okay, I'll say this. The solution I would recommend would be become a party that represents the interests of the working class. The Democrats certainly are not that. The problem is the Republicans are also not that either, and are in fact worse for the working class than even the worst Democrat is. I mean, with that in mind, I do think if the Democrats became a true blue, actual labor party, it would help them, even among men. But, I mean, again, the fact that they're just voting for a party that represents working class interests less, I mean, kind of is an argument against that. I'll just say that. I mean, I get what she was saying, but come on. Like, look at the way, like, Biden decorated this room at the White House. Like, very modest, very, very kind of classy and clean, versus Trump. Gold everything. With a Trump, like, box of chocolates or Bible there, a plane, and then gold, everything everywhere. Like, this shit... Like, you're talking about the Democrats not appealing to the working class. This shit shouldn't either, man. This ostentatious vomit should not appeal to working class people either, but somehow this man does. It's bizarre. It's Twilight Zone level weird how this guy appeals to working class men. Seriously. If you were to write this as a Twilight Zone episode, I would literally think it is too, like, ridiculous. Like, he saw this fireplace and he was like, can I get, like, shitty, tacky, gold-plated garbage like I'm a 18th century French noble? Anyway.
Ah yes, nothing more relatable to working class men than luxury hotel rooms. Great job, guys. The plan? Codename SAM, or Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, promises to use the funds to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. The effort also recommends Democrats buy advertisement in video games, among other things. The Democratic Party is treating young men like exotic animals they're studying. Now, as you can see here is the young man in his natural habitat.
I mean, that's where men hang out. Look, Republicans do this shit too, okay? I mean, everyone does these shitty focus group. I mean, do you think, listen to me, shoot, do you think Donald Trump knows who Aiden Ross is? Of course not. But his shitty reactionary teenage son does. Trump met up with some of the biggest names among young men. Aiden Ross, XQC, they gave him a full-throated endorsement. Pretty much all of these young men in gaming spaces support Trump, are reactionary, are right-wing. Even if they're apolitical, they're just fucking right-wing. You've got, like, Dr. Disrespect here, Asmongold. Pretty much every big male voice in gaming are reactionary. There are obviously some who are woke. Most of the big ones, the very big ones, are reactionary or apolitical, mostly reactionary. So again, I mean, both parties do this. Like, we can dunk on the Dems all we want. I will gladly dunk on the Dems any day of the week, but both parties do this. Come on. You really think Trump was like, I need to meet Aiden Ross. I love his videos. No, come on.
In a dark, messy cave surrounded by Taco Bell wrappers and empty Mountain Dew bottles. Here is another young man, as you can see, also dwelling in a dark cave. This one has dyed his hair blue to scare off potential predators. Unfortunately, it also scares off potential mates. But moving on, here is another young man, we think. We're not quite sure about this one. We're still studying it. Listen, Democrats, instead of spending $20 million to do that stupid maybe you should, I don't know, actually listen to men. I listen to men for free all the time.
Shoo. I don't know how to say this, but unfortunately, the frog has been boiled, okay? And this is who men are listening to right now, okay? Nobody should be listening to Asmongold, okay? You are asking the Democrats to ratchet to this? No. I'm sorry, I can't get behind that. If that's what she was saying, I can't get behind that. This is what the Democrats did with immigration in this cycle, Shu. I'm talking to you directly. This is what the Democrats did with immigration in this cycle. They ratcheted to the right to try to listen to what, they assumed, their studies showed them that the people wanted. Look, I 10 toes down, the voters were wrong about immigration. Yes, they were lied to and duped to think that immigration is some massive problem that's destroying the American working class. That is a manufactured lie by right-wing media. That is verifiable. Even if you disagree, for the sake of argument, let's have you concede that point to me. I also think it can be demonstrated reasonably that Asmongold is not a good influence on men, is not a good person in general. I don't know, let's let her finish her thought, but I don't know. Let's let her finish her thought.
All I have to do is read my comment section. Let's see here. Shoe on Head is a perfect example of why we need to repeal the 19th. Greetings from Albania. I hate women so much it's unreal. Ooh, Shoe, mommy, milkies, mommy, mommy, mommy. One time I got my penis stuck in a soda bottle. Okay, on second thought, maybe my comment section is not the best source.
But frankly, Shoe, that is kinda mainstream male thought today, okay? For a lot of men, even if it's 50% of men and the other 50% are woke, which is just not true, that's still a fuck ton of men. I don't know if the answer is we need to listen and understand the perspective of, perhaps is as far as I would go, but get something out of Asmongold? No, he's just shitty and wrong. Andrew Tate is just shitty and wrong. Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, all these people that men are listening to right now are just shitty and wrong. And again, how about this? I have a lot of conservative viewers. If you heard me say that, you probably disagree with me. You're like, Joe Rogan and Sneeko are amazing. Let's concede, for the sake of argument, let's pretend that men are watching a lot of bad people that are influencing them poorly. Let's just say my fictional idea of what's going on is true. What should we do then? What should the Democrats do to try and win the back? Let's say again, they are objectively just not becoming great people right now. They're leaving comments on Shoe and Head's videos saying we need to repeal the 19th Amendment. That is not a good opinion to have. Again, you're not ontologically evil, but you're probably not a great person, frankly, if that's the type of opinions you have. So if a lot of these men just kind of aren't great people, what do you mean the Democratic Party needs to listen to them? You know what I mean? Hello. You just got to the part of the video that has me in it. Wow. I did not hit record on my OBS. I probably had an intro right at the start of the video, but I've been recording this for quite some time, so I'm not going to just re-record the whole thing. But look, I'm on video now. How cool is that? Yeah, that was stupid. Oh my god, I just realized it's going to be a nightmare to, figure out where I paused Shoe on Head's videos and said my spiel. Whatever, I will figure it out. Anyway, I'm no longer a still image or whatever I did because I am a moron. Let's continue.
Source.
Since Trump scored big with young male voters last election, Democrats are spending $20 million to learn how to speak their language. I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists. Maybe that's
But the stats don't bear that out now.
Look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash.
Oh no. The very night I was sitting on my couch writing the script to my video about how the Democrats are spending $20 million to relate to young men, this came on my TV on Fox News. A Tommy Lahren and Laura Ingraham segment about stay-at-home sons, men who still live at home. Literally minutes after this aired, it went absolutely viral.
Laura Ingraham just looks like she is sniffing someone, her own farts at all times. It's insane.
Viral on Twitter for not good reasons. So we are going to unpack this piece by piece. Because even though everyone was mocking it and making fun of it, as far as I saw, nobody was really dissecting it and breaking down exactly why she was so egregiously wrong. So come join me in debunking the male loser epidemic. Because who else better equipped to talk about men's issues than two stupid blonde bimbos? Hold on one second. 3 stupid blonde bimbos. Sorry.
How does she do that?
I felt left out. All right, let's go. Wait.
How does she do
my
that?
gamer fuel. See? I do drink it. That one's for you, Tectone.
It's a major problem. And Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks.
Women are just mysteries. I will never understand their magic.
Folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand.
I am sorry, okay? We can criticize The View all day and Libs all day. Dude, right-wingers are just a special brand of just fucking insane. Jesus fucking Christ.
Brand laziness.
They're on Medicaid? Shut the fuck up, Tommy Lauren. Holy shit.
And social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. But Laura, I gotta tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem.
Look at her expression and tell me she just does not constantly look like she is ripping one of those, like, quiet but insanely smelly ass farts. You know what I'm talking about? That is her face at all and just enjoying the smell of it. That is her face at all times, dude.
They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And that's why we have declining birth rates and a lot of other problems in society. It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air, meet people in real life. Let's just get back to basics.
So first of all, this stay-at-home son
genius.
thing.
Wow, she figured it all out. She figured it all out. What an absolute abject fucking moron. You are insane if you think meritocracy is real. Holy fucking shit. Dude, you are poor and you don't have health care. That woman is a fucking millionaire. And you're gonna tell me meritocracy is real? Go fuck yourself. Holy shit.
Is not a real thing. It was a random throwaway, self-deprecating joke some contestant on Jeopardy said. One f***ing guy. Because I guess there's nothing else important going on that they could cover on the news. They literally made this into a fake phenomena so they can on young men. Meanwhile, Democrats are spending millions of dollars trying to win back young men. Oh no, the young men are leaving us in droves. How do we get them back? Don't worry, I got this. Hey, you fat, lazy, Cheeto dust-covered slobs. F*** you. Nice. Thanks. I love you. I love you too. Is the amount of young men living home with their parents increasing? Yes. Is it because they're lazy bums and just want to order DoorDash all day? No.
Yes.
And also, they're not paying for DoorDash, Tommy.
I'm just not picking up what she's been putting down this whole video. Holy shit.
They're financing it. Come on. Get with the times.
There are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And that's why we have declining birth rates. It's time to go out, get a job, breathe the fresh air.
Have either of you...
Yeah, so this is where, you know, you would come in and say, well, getting a job kind of sucks right now. Jobs don't pay well right now. They don't have good benefits right now. You can't fucking hold it down for very long right now. Everyone's getting laid off. You have to move states. They're not giving you good benefits like pensions or 401ks and shit. All of these things can add up 100%. This ties to neoliberalism, austerity, making shit worse for working class people. And it fits back into, again, my theory that making shit worse for people makes shittier people, frankly. Not that, like, you know, don't get me wrong, like, not all, like, rich people are like great people. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying it adds up to just society as a whole. If everything was better for everyone, everyone would be better people. So this scenario where everything is worse for 99.999% of people and everything is great for that tiny 0.0001%, that doesn't automatically mean that 0.001% are going to be good people. Does that make sense?
Tried applying for a job as a young man recently? Or tried buying a house on the salary of one of these young men? Have you experienced the dating market, been on the dating sites as a young man? No? Interesting, okay. Just wondering. Listen, I know the average age of a Fox News viewer is like 70 nowadays and you need to pander to them, but Tommy, you are like 2 years younger than me. You know this shit isn't true. Why are you talking like this? Why are you
Dude, are you kidding me? Tommy Lauren's IQ score is lower than the amount of calories in that sugar-free Monster Energy drink. Are you kidding me, Shu? She's a fucking moron and always has been. I don't doubt she believes the dumb shit she's saying.
Talking like a fucking boomer. I'm sorry, I have no other word for this, but I hate this like generational pick-me shit. I was born in the wrong generation. I'm not like those other young people. And you know what? She's not like those other young people. Not all young people can afford a nice nose job and lip filler and get a cushy job on Fox News based entirely on merit, I'm sure. The main problem with this brain-dead boomer-ass take
Yes,
is not only is it
meritocracy
cringe,
is real.
but it's completely divorced from reality. This slop is specifically designed for people who paid like $5 for a f***ing house. And listen, not all boomers, okay? My parents are boomers, they are lovely people. A lot of you guys are boomers, but when the baby boomer generation sends its people, it is not sending their best. They are not sending you. They're sending people who have lots of problems. They're bringing the housing crisis. They're bringing wage stagnation. They're falling for AI-generated photos on Facebook. But some, I assume, are good people. But my god, I truly believe they do not understand how good they had it. They could support a family on a single income. A single income from a job that didn't require a college degree. Their leaders didn't prostitute away their economic future for some cheap plastic shit from China. They inherited the greatest economy known to man, and they pretend it's a paradise that they earned. I just don't understand, like, why don't boomers and spiritual boomers like Tommy Lauren see people struggling and go, wow, I wish I could fix this. They should have it better than I had it. And you wonder why so many millennials and zoomers don't want kids. I want to make the world a better place for my children. I want to make the world a better place for my children. Ugh. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you spoiled brat. Children. Not happening.
Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men.
Low-key good takes there.
Young men are becoming lazy because they're becoming feminized. So they're becoming lazy because they act more like women? What did she mean by this, chat? I know there's like a decrease in testosterone or something happening, but men are moving right-wing all over the world. Does that correlate with the feminization? Or, I mean, there are suspiciously a lot of far-right femboys, so maybe. But here's the thing, Tammy. There is absolutely no evidence that young women want to start families more than young men. None. In fact, all the data says the exact opposite. According to Pew Research, 64% of women younger than 50 say they just don't want to have children. No reason, they just don't want them. Versus 50% of men who say the same. Another study by Archbridge Institute shows the same. 63% of women without children said they have no desire to have a child, while only 50% of men said the same. For men, the most commonly cited factor was personal finance, but among women, the strongest reason not to have a child was their desire to maintain their personal independence. Basically, they don't want to give up their brunch and mimosas. They've been ass-blasted with propaganda their whole lives, telling them their lives will be ruined, their bodies will be ruined, they'll never have fun again, they'll be miserable.
Well, I mean, yes, you can have mimosas and a lot of freedom with children, but I mean, come on, Shu. Like, for a lot of women, they do expect to have to do much of the heavy lifting when it comes to the children, to child rearing, right? And I don't think that is an inaccurate inkling to have. And I mean, like, ruined your body, I don't know about that, but childbirth can be incredibly difficult. Pregnancy can be incredibly difficult. I say this as a man, obviously. I'm just speaking from what I've heard, obviously. But obviously, these things can be very, very, very difficult for women. I don't blame women for not wanting to go through the trauma of childbirth, the incredible difficulty of 9.5 months of pregnancy, and then the risk that you will have to take the brunt or the significant amount of the brunt of child rearing, which again, we're in a time when women have more autonomy than ever, and I can't blame them for not wanting to do that, like, to where it's, you know, it is optional today in a way that it kind of wasn't in the past. Again, this is completely out of my ass, but I'm sure if you polled women from 100, 200, 400, 1,000 years ago and said, like, I mean, do you want to have children? You probably would get the very similar numbers, frankly. But the pressures were different back then, and things are different now. Anyway, I feel like I'm talking a lot out of my ass here, but that's kind of where my head's at with this.
Forever if they have children. And as someone who has had a children, Best decision I've ever made. 10/10, highly recommend, would do it again. But yes,
That's fine. One, you're rich, which definitely helps. Two, maybe you have a partner you know you can trust to help with child rearing. Those are things that not every woman can count on.
this idea that men are the ones primarily responsible for the low birth rates is laughable. We're laughing over here. But honestly, it's not.
I mean, did they say the polls said why women aren't wanting to have kids? Is it because to maintain personal freedoms, like not their personal independence? I mean, is it not the reality that women will typically tend to bear the brunt of child rearing, and that can sap their personal independence? Yes, I'm sure being rich can help. Having a good partner, I don't know whose partner is. I'm guessing he's good. Having a good partner can help. Being rich and having a good partner are not two things all women can rely on today.
If they have children. And as someone who has had a children, best decision I've ever made. 10/10, highly recommend, would do it again. But yes, this idea that men are the ones primarily responsible for the low birth rates is laughable. We're laughing over here. But honestly, it's not really women or men's fault. There are a lot of factors that play into this. But Tommy, I really gotta ask, is it men or is it you?
This is going to be the summer of canceling boys. All of my friends are attractive. All of my friends are successful. All of my friends have something going on. Almost every single one of them have an issue with men. But if all of these women, including myself, are having issues, then I have to think it might not be us. It might be you. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country.
My friends are successful. Men don't give a shit about that. They'd marry a Walmart cashier if she was nice to them.
I think men between the ages of 20 and 30 are not ready, in most cases, for marriage, are usually not ready to be husbands and fathers.
That's a cultural issue. So, look,
No, I would actually, back to your point, I think it's a biological thing.
So let me get this straight. Men are all trash and won't commit and won't leave mommy's basement, and they're destroying the birth rates. But also young men are biologically incapable of commitment and being parents. What? But wait, there's more! She also believes women don't have to bring anything to the table.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to...
Was that Tommy Lauren? Is this Tommy Lauren? I know she got a lot of work done, so she doesn't look like she looked 10 years ago. Is this her? Is this Tommy Lauren? You know, she was popping off like 10 years ago, so it's been a while, but I think this is her. Like, this isn't her. Is this Tommy Lauren too?
Then I have to think.
Is this Tommy Lauren too?
Biologically incapable of commitment and being parents. What? But wait, there's more! She also believes women don't have to bring anything to the table.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Never before in history have women demanded so much and offered so little. So before we get deeper into this retarded, manufactured, stay-at-home son narrative, let's check the Facebook comments of this Fox News video, because I am really interested to see what, like, the typical Fox News viewer thinks about this. If the women are anything like these two, I can hardly blame the men for staying home and not wanting to date them. Blame, blame, blame. These two women have a combined age of 93 and they have 0 children between both of them. You both have repugnant personality types, so listening to this was like male birth control to me. My goodness! Boomers are ruthless! Bunch of sissies. I served 6 years, 2 years in Southeast Asia after Vietnam was over. When I was 18, rent was $450 and I could
What does that have to do with anything?
afford to get my own place. She's so spot on. Nothing screams I'm a loser run from me than a guy living at home in his parents' house with his 12-year-old boy's bedroom decor at age of 30. Thank God we raised our sons to be men, who grew up, lived on their own, found their soulmate, got married, bought a beautiful home, and started a family. I was out the door at 18, worked on the assembly line at Dodge and in the Air Force at 19, never went back home. I can't relate to this. Yes, we know you people can't relate. We know. But the world has changed. Why can't you people get this through your heads? I will never let my sons stay home. I'm trying to push them out of the nest.
I will never. I am trying. Sounds like you're failing.
Okay, I really gotta ask, is this an Anglo thing? Immediately kicking your kid out when they turn 18 years old? My Mediterranean mind cannot comprehend this. And honestly, why the f would a man leave home, leave his mother's cooking, for a woman who probably can't cook? Not me though. Personally, I can cook amazing homemade meals. I'll have you know I am a great trad wife.
Bone apple teeth.
Now, unfortunately, Tommy Lauren wasn't the only one pushing this stupid, lazy young men go get a job bullshit. Mike Johnson did it referencing 29-year-old men playing video games all day. Steve Scalise did it with 35-year-old men playing video games all day. And just the other night, I saw this on my TV. Again.
A Wall Street Journal headline got our attention. The new dream job for young men, stay-at-home son. It's a phrase that's taken off since 27-year-old Brendan Leo won $59,000 on Jeopardy. And he has a master's degree in political science, but he's unemployed. Grow up, get a job, get a wife, build a family.
Just get a wife, bro. Just get a job, bro.
Oh, get a job? Yeah. Just get a job? Why don't I strap on my job helmet and squeeze down into a job cannon and fire off into jobland where jobs grow on jobbies?
Classic.
The term welfare queen must have fell out of fashion with Republicans, because it seems even they know the approved safe demographic to go after now. Because it's very obvious what demographic they are talking about when they say young men in their basements playing video games. This just get a job lazy attitude is not surprising, but it's especially funny coming from Fox News of all places. Fox News that spends so much time yapping about immigrants taking American jobs. Fox News will talk for years about how Americans are being screwed out of the workforce. But when this issue manifests itself in Gen Z, suddenly it's a moral failure. The fact is, a lot of American jobs held by men are being lost to automation, offshoring, and yes, cheap foreign labor. Companies and billionaires would rather have cheap labor that they can essentially abuse, not pay fair wages to, just good little worker drones who won't unionize, rather than hire American workers for a living wage. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money they make. I remember when Bernie Sanders called open borders a Koch brothers conspiracy.
Open borders?
Open
borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot
me.
of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Where'd that guy go? A lot of these jobs being taken are jobs traditionally held by men, like construction and factory jobs, manual labor work. But it's not just manual labor jobs, it's also the tech industry and business industry, which are careers also mainly held by men.
Again, I don't 100% love her analysis. I don't even know if I would it'd be generous to call any of that analysis. It feels incomplete. All I'll say is that is a fault of neoliberalism, of capitalism in many respects. More so than, again, like immigrants are a problem or a bad thing. No, neoliberalism is the bad thing, not the immigrant trying to get a job.
There are many examples of this, such as Microsoft recently cutting thousands of American workers while requesting 14,000 more H-1B workers this year. Some of those job positions include data scientists, which are 70% men, software developers, which are 80% men, and electronic engineers, which are 90% men, and many more like that. Another example of this was Tesla, where roughly 15,000 American employees were fired in April 2024, and many were replaced with H-1B visa holders. On Twitter, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy tried to chalk this up to these immigrants just simply being the best and the brightest. Yeah, okay. You're paying them less for longer hours and more work, and they're willing to deal with it in order to stay in the country. It's coercive, exploitative, and, dare I say, not very America first. When conservatives confronted Elon Musk for this last year, he told somebody, and I quote, "Take a big step back and yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend." So when it comes to replacing American workers in manual labor with cheap foreign labor, it's deport, deport, deport. But when it comes to replacing his American workers with cheap foreign labor, it's yourself in the face. Interesting. There's also affirmative action and DEI, which are other things Fox News always pisses and shits about. But suddenly, when the conversation is about Gen Z men, the demographic of people who are victims of these things, suddenly these things just like don't exist anymore. Then it's, oh, young men are all just lazy. They just want to be in their parents'
You implying that Gen Z people are victims of DEI shoe? Okay. Ugh. I hate it when, because I like watching her for the most part, and then the like little reactionary shit like ekes in, and it just makes me depressed.
Spaceman ordering DoorDash and playing video games. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs. I am not beating the allegations with this one. The brown people are not taking your jobs, okay? It's not their fault. They're just cheaper. Aim upwards. But it's not just the brown people taking your jobs. It's the women, too. Many of the dying industries are male-dominated, while many of the growing industries are female-dominated, and stigma around these jobs being woman jobs usually stops men from working them. Women are overwhelmingly entering and excelling in college and the workforce, and they're more flexible about job position and pay, while young men usually hold out for higher-paying, higher-position jobs that will make them the breadwinner. Because you see, despite the world progressing and the role of women changing, the role of men has not changed. Every woman is a feminist until the dinner bill comes. But what's crazy is, women might be the ones paying that dinner bill soon. A study from the UK found women aged 22...
Shoo! Is there any way we can just like... This is probably not a good imagery to talk about what I want to do to a woman. But like just wring out the like... remaining reactionary juices out of her and she would be perfect, okay?
To 29 earned about 1,000 more annually than men, completely reversing the traditional gender pay gap for this age group. In the US, a 2022 Pew Research Center analysis showed that women under 30 out-earned men in many metropolitan areas, with median earnings at or above 100% of men's, in cities like New York and Washington, D.C. That may not sound like a lot of money now, but it's a growing trend that has never been seen before. It's so bad that it's really starting to affect the dating world. American women have never been this resigned to staying single. They are responding to major demographic shifts, including huge and growing gender gaps in economic and educational attainment, political affiliation, and beliefs about what family should look like.
Women, they can stay single and still have friends, whereas men get a lot of their emotional stuff from relationships with women. Their relationship with the woman in their life is their emotional backbone. Whereas women can find that in other ways more easily. You know, obviously broad terms here. Again, I am in no way saying this as like a negative towards women, that women should be doing something different here. No. Look, there's a free market, guys. There is a free market. And the product men are putting out right now is clearly not something that the market, women, are interested in right now.
More women than men are attending college, buying houses, and focusing on their friendships and careers over dating and marriage. The challenges of finding a romantic partner have been made more complicated by a growing divide in education and career prospects between men and women. In 2024, 40% of American women ages 25 to 34 had a bachelor's degree, according to Pew, compared to 37% of men. A bachelor's degree increases net lifetime earnings by an estimated $1 million. Women are doing comparatively well when it comes to education in their early years in the labor force, and men are doing comparatively badly. Men's economic struggles seem to be having the biggest effect on women without a college degree, whose marriage rates by 45 have plummeted to 52% for those born between 1930 and 1980, according to research by Cornell University. Young men without a degree are struggling so much as a group that there simply aren't enough with steady jobs and earnings for non-college.
Fuck. When I switched to Firefox, I didn't put it on 1.25 speed. Dude, I suck at this. Unsubscribe from me right now, you silly people who are subscribed to me. I suck at this.
Women to date. Men are poor, women most affected. Modern women are no longer tied to their gender role. Birth control has freed them from the prison that is their biology, and they are making their own money, sometimes more than men. They can have it all, they can do anything, they can be anything. While at the same time, men are still expected to be the provider. And more importantly, many men still want to be the provider, but they can't. And women, though strong and independent, still want men to be the provider.
And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a...
some women, Shu, right? Like, you're referencing Tommy Lauren, arguably the dumbest creature ever to exist on the surface of this planet, as the representative of all women's interests? Come on. Come on.
Provider that will go to war if need be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money.
Protect you and your family from whom, by the way? Who are you worried? Who are you needing protection from? Who is the man in your life meant to protect you from?
Basically, men are like, we're worried we're not making enough money. And women are like, we're worried men are not making enough money. Hello class, I am Miss On Head. I am substituting for your teacher today. She was arrested for molesting a 12-year-old boy. So today we are learning about the graph. This is the growth in productivity versus hourly compensation graph. And you can trace almost everything bad happening in society back to this graph. As you can see, productivity increased while compensation barely grew over the same time period. Notice they tracked very closely up until around 1972. Now, what happened around 1972, class? Well, the top marginal tax rate was reduced from 70% in 1964 to 50% by 1981. The federal minimum wage began to stagnate. Income going to the 1% rose from 9% in the 60s to 16% in 2023. CEOs also went from making 20 times more than the average worker to making 350 times more than the average worker. Anything else? Anything else happened around 1972? Yes, Jimmy, that is correct. Women joined the workforce around this time, but we don't have to get into that today. The fact is, hard work no longer guarantees...
Okay. I am not gonna remotely dignify the idea that women entering the workforce is some incredible negative that is making the world worse. I will, again, applaud her for pointing out the failings of neoliberalism as a major contributing factor to all of this. Again, I won't necessarily argue that it's not the root. Like I said, it's not the microwave background that you see every time you zoom out and look anywhere at the problems in the fucking world today. I'm not going to necessarily disagree that you could do that. Like I said in my intro, though, just looking at what a lot of men are like today, who they're listening to, like, you can't tell me, like, these are just great people worth being around, frankly.
Success. And the will to work is tied to the fruits of your labor. And young men are fed up today because 90% of that fruit is rotten. Now, is there some truth to modern young people being lazy? Sure, I guess. Every generation had lazy people. And we do basically live in late-stage mouse utopia, after all. Young people today are faced with two options: revolution or escapism. And a lot of them are choosing escapism. Many have basically given up, but it's not like they didn't try. They tried, and they found out the juice just isn't worth the squeeze, whether it's college, dating, or the job market. And in a way, many young men are kind of choosing revolution. The never-before-seen large shift rightward in young men is a small revolution in a way. They're saying, this isn't working for me, this sucks, I hate this, I want...
But they're wrong! But they're wrong! They're saying, I hate neoliberalism, so I'm going for the more neoliberal candidate, the more shitty neoliberal candidate in Donald Trump. Like, that's got to be a problem, right? Like, of propaganda or something?
Want something different. This is also manifesting on the Democrat side in
again, different? What is different? Other than rhetoric and what they're saying is going to happen? What is actually functionally different between the Democrats and the Republicans, Trump versus Kamala, right? Kamala is going to give all of our money to the billionaires. Trump is going to give more of our money to the billionaires and also harass minorities and like immigrants and trans people. No, that's not a good thing either.
General, the young men that are still voting left are voting further left. You saw this recently in New York City, where Zoran Mamdani, a self-proclaimed Democratic socialist, won the Democratic primary. Young men are tired of the establishment, left and right. They're tired of the system, and they want to burn it down and start again. They want something that works for them, because this is not working for them.
If you... It's true. It's true, but, like... This is neoliberalism! Donald Trump is not the solution to neoliberalism. He is more neoliberalism. Yes, people like Zoran Mamdani, people like Bernie Sanders, they are the solution to this neoliberal hellhole. Trump certainly is not. So again, I have to just say, well, it looks like these people are just wrong. So one of us is wrong. Maybe it's me. But one of us is wrong. Really, it's two of us are wrong. If you're, in my opinion, obviously, if you're supporting neoliberals, if you're supporting neoliberal, but the conservative flavor where they just attack trans people and immigrants, that's bad. If you're supporting neoliberalism, but they're like not saying we need to melt every immigrant and trans person, I mean, it's good to not melt every immigrant and trans person, I guess, but neoliberalism is still bad. So again, I think the liberals are wrong. I think obviously the modern conservative movement is wrong. I think the center left, leaning more left, people like Bernie Sanders, Zoran Mamdani, are more of an answer than liberalism, than conservatism. That's the truth that I see.
Wake up in the morning and you find yourself in a society where 23-year-olds with 4-year college degrees and like initiative who aren't smoking weed every day, if they can't make enough to buy a car, much less a home, much less get married, much less have children, then why should you be surprised when half of them say they prefer socialism?
Wait, what? It's like... I could have said that. That's so funny. It's like, dude, you spent decades creating, furthering, and maintaining the conditions, the neoliberal conditions that have made all of this worse for everyone. That is so funny coming from him. And again, I know he is saying they prefer socialism derogatorily, but it's true. A lot of us have seen the failures of the liberals in this country. We certainly can see the failures and just insanity of the modern conservative movement in this country. And yeah, we see these like reasonable social democratic socialist ideas as a good alternative that we should try. And again, we aren't even in like, you know, actual communism and like, you know, full tilt socialism, frankly. We are still in, like, even Zoran Mamdani like is mostly advocating for like center left, so basic social democratic policies, right? Like we've tried far right, we've tried center right. I'm just saying, let's try center left. Okay. And if we need to go further left, the leftist viewers, we can have that conversation. I think we should start with a basic social democratic framework. We should all accept a few things like worker exploitation anywhere in the world is unacceptable. We should not allow our economy to benefit from worker exploitation, whether domestic or foreign, and we shouldn't allow money and power to accumulate into tiny minorities. That's my manifesto right there in 2 sentences. Anyway.
Huh. Fox News should hire that guy. There is an entire generation of fighting-aged men who are enraged and feel like they have nothing to live for. You should probably start caring. When they saw this airing on Fox News, they saw an angry woman nagging in their faces about how everything wrong in the world is their fault, an all too familiar thing they have been hearing for far too long. But unfortunately for Democrats, nobody under the age of 60 watches Fox News, so this is not really going to have an effect on young men whatsoever. So keep that $20 million. You might still need it, unless we get dragged into another war in the Middle East. If we do get dragged into another war in the Middle East, young men might come running back to the Democratic Party. Maybe not even a George Bush 2 electric boogaloo will have men coming back to the Democratic Party. Hopefully we don't find out.
And as I'm editing this right now, a lot of young people, even the podcast bros, seem pretty upset about the Epstein thing, but we know Democrats won't take advantage of the situation in order to protect the Clintons, so maybe not even this will save them, but we'll see, I guess.
Hold on one second. That's better. So that was that video. What do you think of the male loser epidemic? Do you agree with Tommy Lauren? Is it all men's fault? Leave your comments below. I read them all. I am probably reading them right now as you type them. Wait, don't write that. No. You can't say that. No, it doesn't matter if it's with an A. If you like this video, please subscribe, and if you can, donate to me on Patreon or leave a little tip with the little tip jar down below. I'll give it a little heart. It helps the channel, and I appreciate it so much. And I will see you guys again soon with a new video, a new slop video, because I know you gremlins love that shit. Bye!
One thing I'm noticing from these shoe on head videos is her analysis always feels just a little bit incomplete. There was some good in there. There was a little bit of reactionary in there, as always. But there was a little bit to, again, I would just call it incomplete. One question I would ask Shu, like directly, if I could ask her in response to this video, is like, is there a problem with like some like large amounts of male behavior today? Is like men watching people like, you know, like we've said, Sneeko, Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, these are bad things, right? From Shoe on Head's perspective, these are not good people. These are not good influences. These are not teaching men to become better men. Like, do we agree on that, Shoe? I would extrapolate that further to say, like, can we agree that a lot of male behavior just isn't great? Again, this was more about like, I don't know, laziness, I guess, which just isn't, I guess, my angle. In response to that, no, I don't think men are just inherently lazy and there's like the lazy gene just happened to mutate a generation ago. Like, no, obviously not. I agree with Joe on Head here that it appears as though like the failings of neoliberalism have caused this loser thing. Like, again, I don't like saying that. I don't think the men who are struggling to find jobs right now, who are living at home, all of that, I don't think they're losers. I don't think they've failed or whatever. I think they are victims of neoliberalism, victims of an economic system that benefits the ultra wealthy at the expense of working class interests. Not losers, victims. But to sort of widen this scope to, again, like male loneliness, like, are a lot of men just not great people right now? That's my question. Are a lot of men just kind of not great people right now? The way they view male relationships, like being vulnerable to one another, being empathetic to each other as gay and woke, that's not a good thing, right? Can we agree on that, Shu? Can we agree that there is genuinely a problem with a lot of these young men in terms of misogyny? Again, I'm not saying every man, I'm just saying many of them, to where it is a big problem among men today. Because yeah, I do think, unfortunately, these conditions, again, you could tie it back to neoliberalism, fine, but these conditions are just creating a generation of just not great people, you know, in my opinion. Anti-intellectualism, anti-empathy, anti-vulnerability, pseudo-intellectualism, these are problems that are rampant among men. And again, don't take me as this saying women are perfect or flawless or have no issues. I'm not saying that either. It's just easier, more prescient for me to speak about men's issues as someone, as a man who's in these male communities every single day. I'm not saying, I'm going to get comments that are saying, Dima, you're so shitty. You're complaining about men. What, you think you're perfect? No, of course not. Ask the woman in my life, am I perfect? No, I know I'm not. Okay? I am also, you know, caught in the event horizon of this black hole of shitty socioeconomic conditions worsening. All of the criticisms I make about society, to some degree, 100% apply to me. Like I said, I am in this whirlpool, same as everybody. So again, I think we need, I would ask Shu, could you concede that there is a problem with a lot of men just kind of being shitty people right now? Not shitty in that they don't have a job, not shitty in that way, I guess. I would unfortunately argue yes. And I think it does tie to worsening socioeconomic conditions as a, you know, result of 50 years of an economic system that favors the rich and not the working class. But anyway, let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.